for Ireland, but you'd think he'd held that position for quite a few years. He's playing with a lot of maturity here this evening.
They really only have to get a holding scrum initially, and they should be able to put the second shove on.
The drive comes straight away. The captain of Quinnigan trying to control it at the back. Dalzell, the scrum half, trying to come round, as is Dave Hodges.
Penalty try.
It's a penalty try. That was almost inevitable, wasn't it?
No, indeed. I thought the Irish rushed it a little bit. All they had to do was control it, but led by Wood right in the middle, they went after the United States. They put the drive on aggressively, and eventually the States infringed. And referee Joel Dumais thought that was a foregone conclusion of a try if the infringement didn't occur. Easy 7 points.
And David Humphries, success with the boot once again. He's converted every one of Ireland's tries and also popped over the first score of the match here tonight. And that was a penalty for 3 points. So Ireland leading in the early stages of this second half over the USA, 31 points to 8. And once again we can have a look at that try. United States scrum all over the place. They've got to try and maintain the formation. That would have been a penalty under normal circumstances, but the referee quite right in awarding a penalty try. Well, the restart was taken deep inside the Irish 22. The Irish trying to get out with a huge kick by David Humphries. His opposite number there, Mark Williams, misjudged that one. He's under pressure now. Kurt Schumann tries to return the ball with interest, but straight into the Irish fullback's hands. Conor O'Shea, and that was a beautiful piece of play by the Irish fullback.
Slight knock on, beautifully judged chip by O'Shea. Got a cruel bounce. As he went down, he got a collection. So we see it just over the top of the 3 defenders. Cruel bounce, pick up, but off balance as he tried to keep the ball in play.
He's built almost like a back row forward, is Conor O'Shea. He's a big fella, but he moves so well.
A bit like Shane Howard from Wales. Big fellas, but they move extremely well.
And the referee playing advantage from that knock on by Kurt Schumann, the United States fullback.
Well, they've been forced early on in the second half to throw caution to the wind. The States running out from their own half again, but a great position here. Again, O'Shea looking for the short side, one would think, on the right. No, he's drifting off to the left.
Humphries, the chip through once again. The chase is on. Oh, that was so close. It was just picked up there by Anatoni once again. But he was under pressure from Matt Mostyn. The ball just breaks free for a moment, but picked up by the United States scrum half, Kevin Dalzell. He's had a very good game, Dalzell. He scored all the USA's points, a try, a surprise try, and a penalty. Well, a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of Mark Williams. He certainly doesn't lack experience, maybe at this level, but what dare we say it, an old head on old shoulders.
You know, certainly, but unfortunately for the United States, it's that lack of possession which has really put them behind the 8 ball in this match. Williams has had very few clean possessions where they've been going forward either from scrum or from line-up. The Irish got a great opportunity here again.
George Suker is the man who's down for the USA, the prop forward.
Here we see the little chip in behind, plenty of options from that scrum for the Irish. Did well just to clean up that ball, did Anatoni. But it's interesting to note, Paul, that both this Irish team and the Welsh team have got New Zealand coaches. From these line-out situations, they've got their teams playing right on the advantage line, which gets them over the gain line. Just putting 1 or 2 balls through the hands. Yesterday we saw the Quinnell brothers and Gibbs. Today we've seen Maggs taking the ball forward. What I'd like to see Ireland do, and I certainly noticed there's space, as David Newey, one of my old teammates from New South Wales, enters the field. There's space coming back on the short side. As USA pinch a line-out ball.
Well, that hasn't happened very often during this game, and Ireland penalised there on the retreat. Kevin Dalzell, the scrum half, wanting to get on with it, but David Newey. Just about every team in the World Cup has got some sort of influence from the South Pacific, whether it's been Australia, the South Pacific Islands or New Zealand. It seems to be one of your greatest exports.
Yeah, I think it is, certainly from New Zealand. If you look at Japan, even the Scottish have got a few Kiwis there now. There's one or two born in New Zealand that was playing for Wales yesterday. But Newey, he's an exceptional player. He should add a bit of impetus and attack to this United States team.
That's Keith Wood wanting to get on with the scrum straight away. The number 2 for Ireland, the hooker. And Dan Lyle, well, he really has stood out for the USA in this this encounter, and it's been a bruising encounter, believe me.
Here we see it again. Newey, the standoff, in on the scrum.
So how many have we got in there this time?
Well, we've got Tardits, the flanker, defending in the traditional fly half position.
The Irish holding their own, almost going across in a straight line against the United States.
As we said before, the Irish are trying to punish that situation with Tardits off the scrum.
Well, certainly there will be gaps in the defence if they can get possession, and they've got it, but it's picked out of the air by Dan Lyle. Away the United States come. The break on for Tom Takau. Oh, a drop ball once again, and my goodness, how many times have the United States done that during this game?
Yeah, they've really struggled to put any continuity together today. Elementary errors. Must have been looking at the green jerseys and not the ball, Richard Tardits. As a Keith Wood fan.
I think there's quite a few of them in the stadium today, Nick.
As long as he doesn't shave his hair off at an early age.
Well, Tom Tierney to Humphries once again, into the centre, Kevin Maggs. He had support, but decided to try on his own. And the drive on there from the substitute, Malcolm McKelly. Tierney to Humphries, to O'Driscoll. Oh, beautiful dummy there by O'Driscoll. But David Newey there just hanging on to O'Driscoll's ankles to prevent any further progress. Tierney just pops on over the top for Humphries.
Yeah, that's wasted possession. O'Driscoll, very fancy dummy, but Wood was there in support. He would have fancied his chances had he received the possession.
Gets the United States out of a bit of bother, down on their own 10-metre line now. Just over 11 minutes gone in this second half, as another substitution is taking place. And it looks as though they're bringing off Richard Tardits, which actually I find rather surprising. Tardits has played well during this game.
Yeah, he's one of their more experienced players as well. He's been the Hong Kong Sevens many years. He knows a lot about the game. I suppose they have to bring on some fresh legs, the United States.
They brought on a big fella, Fafita Mo'unga, another South Pacific Islander, who's got a reputation for some crunching tackles, and he almost put one in there on Justin Bishop, the try scorer from the first half. But Ireland going for second phase. Oh, Tom Tierney just making a bit of a hash of that one. And Paul Wallace, the prop forward, the number 3 there for Ireland, just throwing his hands up in the air out of frustration, nothing more than that.
Yeah, no, they would be frustrated. Simple errors creeping in. Tierney, poor knock on there. It's good to see them using their blindside wingers. That time, Bishop coming in and being injected.
So Newey trying to feed the fullback, Kurt Schumann, but they just got a bit too close there. There was just a misunderstanding.
Everyone's getting a little too anxious. They want to get this scoreboard ticking. They must realise it doesn't come from throwing pressured passes. It comes from creating continuity, which creates gaps.
Joel Dumais of France, his 12th international during a long career. The French referee in O'Driscoll's done it again. He punched a hole through the American defence there, but once again looking for support, and the ball just popped up, this time on the side of the United States. Dalzell runs into trouble there. The Irish defence holding solid at the moment. The fullback Schumann passes it back inside. Dalzell has it once again, and now the drive forward by Alec Parker. This towering lock forward for the United States.
But like American football, one out stuff, just straight ahead.
I was having a chat with somebody today about the Americans, the Eagles, the rugby union team from America, and this chap who was American, came from New York, did not have a clue, A, that the United States had a rugby union team, and B, obviously didn't realize the World Cup was going on here. So I think the United States have got a lot to do in order to promote this game even more in their own country. Well, it looks as though the United States are looking for another substitution. Mark Scharenberg it is, who's looking to strengthen the United States attack and defense. And I just wonder, David Newey's only been on the pitch for what, about 5 minutes, and in a bit of trouble already.
You know, he seems to have some sort of shoulder problem. But even with the sophistication, Paul, as you say, of the American sporting hype, it really comes down to a lack of money, and that's what the international bodies, the big powers in rugby, have to address. How to channel money into these smaller rugby playing countries.
Well done, Lyle, picking up there. Dalzell gets it away to David Newey, who's okay now. And then the big stocky centre, Tom Takau. And in fact, the Irish have pushed the Americans back, despite the fact the United States had possession. And some real driving tackles coming in there from the Irish.
Now, they're very fit, they're very physical. Gatland has certainly got them well prepared physically. The mobility hasn't dropped off, nor has the passion from the Irish. Just the execution lets them down from time to time.
Trevor Brennan, the flank forward, coming round the back of the scrum there into the number 8 position. Well, we haven't had too many passages of play during the second half. There's a lot of breakdowns, a lot of little mistakes, and the Irish this time being penalised.
And there's no doubt it really has been stop-start for the last 10 minutes. It's something that Gatland will be concerned about, that lack of continuity. A couple of bruised American players there. It has been very physical, albeit it just hasn't flowed. Now we see time in opponent's half. Certainly Ireland has dominated there. But with that sort of domination, one would expect them to have a greater domination on the scoreboard. There we see it, only 31 points to 8.
Well, the World Cup is 12 years old this time. It's the 4th World Cup we've ever seen for rugby union. And you've been around during all of that time, either as a player or an observer working for television. You know, how far has the game moved on in that time?
Well, I think it certainly has moved on, and the exposure of the World Cup, both in terms of television and total number of viewers, and also I think the speed and athleticism of the players. I mean, there's a lot of talk in this new professional era, and of course this is our first truly professional World Cup, that players are bigger, stronger, faster. I read Phil Kearns, the Australian hooker's comments today, that he's been this is his 3rd World Cup. I don't necessarily think the skill levels have improved, and sometimes I even think that they may have dropped off a little bit. When you look back at 87 to where we are now, as far as the money or the income generating machine that Rugby World Cup now is, there's huge advances that have been made.
And of course, over 1 billion people watching this sport all over the world.
I think the 4th biggest sporting event in the world, which is terrific.
So here we go, a line out to the United States. We're getting towards 20 minutes into this second half now. And Ireland leading 31 points to 8. Good start for them in this opening encounter, and a good tackle coming in from Keith Woods, but the United States still have it. And David Newey's made a bit of difference to the options that the USA are creating in midfield, that's for sure. He's a very creative player, isn't he?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. As I said, I played a couple of years with him in New South Wales. He's disappointed by the loss of possession, but he's certainly got a spring in his step, as opposed to David Humphries. Mark Williams, a very experienced campaigner, but not the athlete that David Newey is.
Well, I wouldn't be at all surprised, despite the fact that David Newey's only just been on the pitch for about, 5 minutes. He might even start the next game. That was Eric Miller, another British line forward player, getting warmed up on the touchline. So there might well be Irish changes in just a few moments' time. Meanwhile, Dan Lyle just trying to chip the ball off the back of that Irish scrum, but it had rotated round too far, so they'll have to do it all over again. And then substitution is taking place, and it's Trevor Brennan, the back row forward, who's coming off, and Eric Miller, could just add a little bit more zest, couldn't he, to what's happening in the Irish forwards.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think it's wise with the replacement rule now available to be putting on fresh legs at this stage. I must say, Paul, I was surprised that Wales didn't substitute some of their bigger and more cumbersome forwards with 10-20 minutes to go yesterday at the Arms Park.
Well, already Eric Miller on this side was getting into a bit of a tussle there with Dave Hodges of the USA. But that's a thumping kick down into the United States territory. And Kurt Schumann